Hey guys, welcome to episode number 145. Today is Monday, so it's Update Monday, and I haven't focused on the turtles in quite some time. It's kind of been a sore subject due to all of the losses that I've had, and I'm sad to report that Speedy ended up not making it. The only two that I have left in this tank are Big Mama, and that's her there, and then this one, which I renamed to Bad Turtle, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But I wanted to focus on the turtles for a little bit because I've learned a lot in the last few months. As you know, I had some complications with Speedy, which turned out to kind of snowball into several other issues with some of my other terrapins who didn't end up making it. I wasn't quite sure exactly why they didn't make it, and then I just had someone commenting on my videos earlier today, which made me take a closer look at this right here. Is Pothos poisonous to turtles? This is kind of a question that's been up for debate. When I originally decided to set up this tank 2 or 3 years ago, obviously the turtles were not large enough to eat the Pothos, and the original reports that I had read were kind of mixed. Some people said it was poisonous, other people said it wasn't poisonous. And the general consensus that I found at that time, and again, this was a few years ago, was that Pothos ivy is definitely poisonous to humans, also poisonous to cats and dogs, and accordingly, you know, it's a house plant that's often sold in home improvement stores, but it's something that typically isn't kept around a family setting. And I didn't read anything specifically related to turtles that would have indicated that it could have caused them irreparable harm. So I did make the decision to put those in my tank. As always, whenever you decide to put anything in your tank, you really need to weigh the risks versus the benefits. And unfortunately, I might have made the wrong decision a couple years ago. What I found out since then is that Pothos ivy definitely is poisonous. At least that's what several books have stated. Several books on turtles have stated that it's specifically poisonous to reptiles. Obviously there will be exceptions to every rule. There are always animals that are immune to different poisons, and it seems like, at least from what I read, that Pothos causes a condition called insoluble calcium oxalates. And I guess essentially what that means is when the roots or when the leaves are eaten by turtles, it binds the calcium that otherwise would be available for their growth and for their shells. And that's obviously a big issue. Obviously turtles need as much calcium as possible. It's always in their diet. You know, it also causes other complications. I also read that it's an inflammatory, so if it's consumed, it can cause swelling. It can, you know, cause them difficulty in breathing, which is obviously another problem if you're a turtle and you live underwater and hold your breath all day. So it could have been a combination of a few things, and the Pothos being poisonous is definitely one of those things, because as I said, when they were smaller and the Pothos was present, they didn't eat it. Oftentimes terrapins aren't really interested in any vegetable matter when they're small, but as they grew larger and as they matured, and as you can see, these have matured, they do start to incorporate plants into their diet, and that was the only green plant that they could have seen in their habitat at the time. And because it was poisonous, you know, that's the only thing that was available for them to chew on. Ironically enough, and this kind of leads further evidence to that theory that the pothos consumption might have had something to do with the turtle death, is Big Mama has never really been interested. I've never really seen her bite at anything other than the background. So if she was just interested in chewing up the background, you know, maybe that's what saved her from chewing on the pothos plants. And this gets back to bad turtle. The only thing I've seen bad turtle chewing on is the background and other turtles. This is probably the second main culprit and the second part of the equation to why I had some turtle death. And it's why I have this divider in this tank right now, because as these turtles matured, this female in particular got territorial. I have never witnessed any of my turtles except for this one right here, bad turtle, being mean to the other turtles. And you know, guys, it's to be expected, because obviously a turtle of that size deserves something a lot larger than this. Especially if they're crammed in there with other turtles of a similar size. You know, she is probably the one who bit Speedy to begin with, which kind of sent him on a downward spiral that he never recovered from. And I have witnessed her biting other turtles in the past, going so far as to driving them out of the water. And making other turtles scared of her because she was nipping at tails. There was never really any damage done by her, but just the fear alone was enough to potentially make some of those turtles spend the night above water. And this kind of gets into the third part of the equation. In my old apartment, it was fairly drafty and it was fairly cold. There was a period of time right before the fall when I didn't have the heaters in the water either. So the turtles started to exhibit a few signs of starting to hibernate, but I threw the heaters back in. But regardless, if any of this bullying was going on and I didn't notice it at the time, and if any of those turtles ended up spending a drafty night above water, especially, you know, when the water temperature was back to normal here in the tank with the heaters, that could have caused a respiratory infection as well. Again, as I said earlier, I didn't see any signs of that, but it's definitely a possibility. If you're getting bullied, you know, you're not obviously in optimal condition. And you're not acting like a normal, happy, healthy turtle, so there's always room for something to happen. But I will say that once I put this divider in, Big Mama started acting normal again, and that's because the two turtles are separated, and they will remain separated. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to set the stock tank up, but even then I probably will not have them together. So live and learn, guys. Some of this is behavior based. You know, every turtle is going to be different, and some of them are just going to be territorial, and some of them are going to be mean. Even when they're small, you'll have some turtles that are just tail biters, and you have to watch out for those, because those can cause complications, and those complications can be very severe and lead to very rapid death if it's the wrong combination of circumstances. So that's kind of the whole turtle situation here. I went back, and on all of my videos that had pothos included in them, I made sure to mark those, and I included a warning about its potential toxicity to reptiles, to turtles, and I would definitely recommend to avoid pothos at all costs, because it does seem like it is toxic to at least some animals, and probably to these terrapins. So that might have been one of a few causes of death, and it's a real tough lesson to learn, as I've said. and I'm glad that I'm documenting it, because hopefully you will learn from my mistakes. Hopefully if you're searching for these answers, this is the video that's going to answer those questions for you, so you don't have to make those mistakes, because it's a really tough thing to have happen here. This divider is kind of a temporary construction, and so is this basking ramp. It's not pressure treated plywood, but even regular plywood shouldn't be in there. I know that. I just haven't. This was a very quick fix. I had to get this in place very quickly to alleviate the conditions that were going on. So with that said, you know, both turtles are happy and healthy here. I swapped them out so they get to take turns on each side of the tank every day or two, and you'll notice all of my fish are in there as well, because all of my other tanks are down right now. I am spray painting them, getting them ready for the fish room to be put up, but for right now they've got plenty of things to munch on. They've caught a few of the fish. They're not all that interested in chasing them anymore, but I am feeding them every other day or so, and honestly that's what's recommended once they get to an adult size, is to feed them every other day. And you know what, when they transitioned from eating every day to eating every other day, that might have been one more reason for them to bite the backgrounds, just because they're hungry, and it might have been one more reason to bite the pothos, which is potentially poisonous. So you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt, guys. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions. I know that this has kind of been a topic of hearsay in the past, Pothos and its toxicity to reptiles. Like I said, I'm sure there are some reptiles that are immune to Pothos, but it is a known toxic plant, and it doesn't occur naturally in the terrapin's habitat. So better safe than sorry. And you know, if this is one documented case of where Pothos may have caused or led to complications of death in turtles, let it be known here, and learn from this. But that's all I've got for right now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. You know, I've certainly learned quite a bit, and I'm happy at least that I've kind of been able to track down a few culprits and a few causes for the things that were going on, but it still wasn't very clear cut. I mean, it wasn't just one cause of death. It wasn't something that was very apparent and very easy to point your finger at. It's kind of a combination of multiple things, and you really have to keep everything in mind when you're looking at a situation like this. So I'm very thankful for people who comment. You know, if you see things that other people are doing in their videos that could be potentially harmful to their animals, you know, definitely point those out in the comments, guys, because we're all in this together. We've all got to learn together. And yeah, like I said, I hope this can be a resource to others. But anyways, guys, that's it. That's all I've got for now. These turtles are permanently separated, but this is a very temporary solution to that problem, but it will work for now. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.